Well, Oman is now replacing the Pakistan team when we talk about a tournament that was slotted to take place in India. This is not the first time that security concerns have prompted changes in fixtures and teams as well. The Pakistan Hockey Federation had already made their decision a while ago that Pakistan would not be sending their team to the Junior Hockey World Cup as far as its team is concerned, citing security concerns, and rightly so. The extremist mindset in India, the BJP Hindutva ideology, has put not only the players but sports at large at a very grave risk as well, and therefore it has been decided that now Oman would be replacing Pakistan in this very tournament. FIH, of course, was informed of Pakistan Hockey Federation's decision, and a neutral venue proposal was also cited, but it was not, of course, given the leverage, and therefore Pakistan had to opt out of this tournament. It had to happen generally. We didn't send our team to the Asia Cup as well that took place in India. So therefore, I think we have to be very realistic that there exist great security concerns for any Pakistani or any Pakistani athlete or sports personality who would be traveling to India. Therefore, it's just a plain simple no. I'm Ahmed Nawaz. You're watching The Scoreboard, coming to you live from our Islamabad studios here at Pakistan TV. Let's take a look at our other top stories that we're discussing as well. Then, of course, we move on to the ICC Women's World Cup, where the second semi-final between Australia and India is underway as well. But if you talk about the first semi-final, it was South Africa all the way. Laura Wolfhard played the innings of a lifetime, making sure that South Africa become the first team to qualify for the ICC Women's World Cup final, beating England by 125 runs. Marzan Kapp amongst the bowlers taking 5 wickets. She was superb when it mattered the most. I mean, just look at the first dismissal. Clinical pitch of a delivery. But South Africa making history of reaching the Women's ODI World Cup final for the very first time. The second semi-final, when we talk about that, is underway right now. All the action live on PTV Sports HD. You can catch all the action live there. Australia, of course, won the toss. They opted to bat first. They're 227 for 3. It's the 36th over right now in place. Elise Perry on 65, Annabelle Sutherland on 3. Before that, Phoebe Litchfield scored 119 runs. She was absolutely brilliant, followed by Beth Mooney, who scored 24 for India. Kranti Gaud and Sri Charani, and of course Amanjot Kaur as well, took 1 wicket each. It looks like that 300 plus runs are very much on the cards as well, and Australia is slotted to be the favourite to face South Africa in this final of the ICC Women's World Cup. Then we move on to football, and we give you all the latest details from the English Premier League as well. Crystal Palace beating Liverpool 3-0. Liverpool have been knocked out of the Carabao Cup as well. We also discussed that from English football, going on 6 defeats in 7 games, poor form all across different competitions as well, but they're in a spot of bother. In the Premier League, they're under scrutiny. Right now in the Carabao Cup, they've been knocked out by Crystal Palace. So this poor form is certainly, a lot of eyebrows have been raised on the strategy that Liverpool has had this season overall in English football. Then we move on to the Asian Youth Games, where Pakistan was brilliant. They secured silver medal in this competition, the 3rd Asian Youth Games that took place in Isa City in Bahrain. Pakistan were defeated in the final by Iran 3-0, but they were clinical. In every set, they were very close. The margin of points was neck and neck. The team has now returned home. They've reached back to Pakistan, but a silver medal is something that we should all be celebrating. Throughout the tournament, they performed very well. And you have to remember, Iran is the best team in Asia, and Pakistan managed to, of course, qualify and reach the final, and were up against them as well. So these young boys should be very, very proud of themselves as well. Then we move on and we tell you some more interesting updates, where the Oklahoma City has outscored Kings in the Kings final. Gilgeous Alexander led the Thunder by 31 points as well. It was a night of action for NBA, where bench players contribute key points as well. Oklahoma is next to face the Wizards tomorrow, which is also a game of high intensity, and of course we'll have a lot of eyes on it as well of how performances go. Then from NBA we move on to a 15-year-old making club history in the world of sports. Max Dowman has started for Arsenal, an outstanding player at this young age, comes from the structure that we all talk about. He dominated the first half. Arsenal, of course, reached the Carabao Cup quarterfinals, and he was clinical in a night of football when it mattered the most as well. Then we move on to the Paris Masters and we tell you about the knockout stages, the last 16. Of course, a cousin beating his cousin. This is for the very first time we see that in tennis. But Vacherot beats cousin Rinderknech, and of course he's risen sharply after the Shanghai triumph as well. Lowest ranked winner has now reached the top 40 when it comes to tennis rankings as well. And then we move on to Celtic, who were in the highlight a couple of days ago because of Brendan Rodgers stepping down, but their interim manager has produced results which nobody expected. And what a way to solidify your position as maybe converting from an interim manager to a permanent one as well. As now, of course, after Rodgers' resignation, John Kenny has scored the first half double, making sure that Celtic beat Falkirk 4-0 in this competition. It's an emphatic O'Neill debut. If you talk about, like I said, the interim role might now be confirmed as well. So I think that was something that we had to discuss in detail. And then we move on to Pakistan versus South Africa. All is set now in Lahore at the Gaddafi Stadium for the second T20 International. Pakistan in a spot of bother. Players are definitely feeling the pressure. Will they be able to make a comeback? Only time will tell. But I think it's going to be something that we discuss in detail, because the fact is that a lot of people are talking about the Pakistan cricket team at the moment, that they're not only struggling, but they're confused of what is going to happen in the World Cup. Less than 3 months to go now. I think it's going to be very important how we discuss this further as well. But we'll of course start the show off with the details. We'll first move on to hockey, where the PHF's decision was very straightforward and it was very concrete, and rightly so. I fully endorse this as well. If there is any threat to the security of our players, we should not be sending a team. It should be plain simple. But to discuss this further, we've been joined by a former Olympian and member of the Pakistan hockey team as well. Mr. Imran Butt joins us. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and welcome to the scoreboard. Well, Imran Saab, can you hear me?
I can hear you, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Thank you very much for joining us. What would you like to highlight, first of all, of Pakistan's decision? Because this has been a very straightforward policy. If there is any threat to our players' security, we are not bound to send a team to the Junior Hockey World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. This is a very good decision from the Pakistan side, because first the player security is very important for us, because at that time, at this environment, the player cannot be play easily at the ground. So I think the Pakistan have a good decision to refuse the acceptance of the Junior World Cup from the Pakistan side to play in India.
Well, I must ask you something that I feel I can relate to as the double standards of FIH at the moment. Imran, if this World Cup was happening in Pakistan and India had refused to play in Pakistan and they would have demanded a neutral venue, then would you think the situation would have been different?
Yeah, definitely the situation will be different, because Indians have a very good hold in the hockey, and just like same in the cricket. And I think the Pakistani, the FIH president is belong to Pakistan, and definitely the FIH president think about before the Junior World Cup. If you know about the current situation Pakistan India, the FIH have a right to shift the World Cup to the neutral venue. I don't think so. I don't understand why the FIH president did not take any action, because the World Cup, Junior World Cup is very important for us, because the young player need to explore the matches. The young player need to experience for the high pace events. So World Cup is the dream for the junior players. And I'm not satisfied with the performance of the FIH president, because he belongs to Pakistan and he did not take any action. Because if you know the current situation against India and Pakistan, so why FIH not take any action to shift this World Cup to the another venue?
Well, certainly, but finally I must ask you, because like you mentioned, it's very important to make sure that this junior team is equipped with the modern style of hockey as well. Now the World Cup, they're not participating. Oman has been replaced. It's simple, and I think that case should be shut. What more can we do, as far as the Pakistan Hockey Federation is concerned, to give these players exposure? Can we think of a series? Can we do something that you believe would give them a replacement of this World Cup?
I don't think so. This is any replacement, just like that, just like the event of the World Cup. I think so. Players miss the World Cup. Players miss the games against the world best teams. Players miss the games against the best players. I don't think so. There is any replacement regarding the Junior World Cup. And same like I repeat the sentence, the same like we lost and we missed the Asia Cup for the qualifying for the Senior World Cup, and now we are playing the 3 matches against Bangladesh, and after that we are going to the qualify round. So this is not fair for the Pakistan hockey, and I think so the FIH president should take action if they need to Pakistan survive in the qualifying round, because after the coming events, Indian influence is too much in the game, and I think so in the events and next coming events is also belongs to India. So so I don't understand the policy of the FIH president and the Asian hockey. So if against India holds the Asian Champions Trophy, then Pakistan again quit from the Asian Champions Trophy. I don't understand this type of policy from the FIH.
Well, certainly. Thank you very much, Mr. Imran Butt, for joining us on the scoreboard. That was former hockey team player and former Olympian for Pakistan, Imran Butt, and he's criticizing the FIH president, Tayyib Ikram, and he rightly says that, you should understand the regional situation and provide an opportunity for this young team to participate in a World Cup, because this is a dream moment for any player, let alone a young player as well. But of course, we move on and we discuss some more things with you as well. We have to talk about the Women's World Cup. I think it's in a spectacular mode right now. South Africa have become the first team to qualify for the final. Laura Wolfart and Marizanne Kapp were absolutely clinical on a day when it mattered the most for South Africa. This will be the first ever time that the women's team have qualified for the final as well. And I think elsewhere as well, we see that Australia and India is underway. And I think that is also a great moment as well. But I just wanted, to let you know that if you want to catch all the action, it's live right now on PTV Sports. But we'll be discussing this and much more. Joining us now on the scoreboard is sports expert Ali Abbas. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the scoreboard. How are you?
Alaikum, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. I, of course, have lots of things to discuss with you as well. But, like we're talking about this fact as well. But, before we move on to football, I just want to take your analysis of last night's victory by South Africa. 125 runs you're beating England by, to a point where England's coach Charlotte Edwards had to admit that Laura Wolfart's innings and the way Marizanne Kapp bowled had probably no match.
Exactly. And, talking about the South African team in particular, it has been a good couple of years for not only the women's team, but also the men's team when it comes to the ICC tournaments. And we all know what happened to the South African men's team in the T20 World Cup, a similar fate that was also shared by the South African women's team in the T20 World Cup, and they ended up losing to New Zealand in the final. And now you sort of felt, and looking at this tournament, looking at certain players, obviously we had a few players performing last night, and then even against India, the kind of innings that was played by de Klerk, you do see the South African team as maybe the team that is going to win the final. And it just felt like, regardless of it being England or anyone else, even if it was Australia, you didn't see South Africa losing the semi-final. And, if I was looking at those, basically the teams that had won this World Cup over the last 10 to 12 years, and it felt more like seeing which team had won the Ashes, right? Because it was just England, Australia, that was the pattern. And for South Africa to break that pattern and now be in the final, you have to give them a lot of credit. And if the law of averages have taught us anything, Ahmed, in the last 10 to 15 years, I think it's going to be South Africa clinching the trophy with whoever out of Australia or India make it to the final against them on the weekend.
Well, certainly, but the South African team has, just been clinical in this World Cup. Remember, this was the same England team that they lost to initially and lost miserably in the very first game of their World Cup campaign, but didn't look back. But now we talk about Australia, who seem to be dominating India at the moment. And, the Aussies have an answer to everything, even on this low track, which is producing low bounce as well. They're looking at 300 plus runs. Who's favourite right now in that game?
You have to say Australia, because I think the fact that they're now touching 240 before the 40 overs, still having 6 wickets in hand on a track like this, where probably India would have wanted to get them out within 230, 240 in the first inning. So you do feel that they're ahead. And then if you just talk about the Australian mentality and the kind of bowling attack that they have, the kind of pacers they have, the kind of spinners they have in the middle to just take back the control of the game, I think it's going to be very difficult for India now. And based on what I see right now, the direction in which the match is going, I think we can safely put our bets that it's going to be an Australia-South Africa final in this World Cup, and I think that would be a fitting final because you just mentioned about South Africa that they had a miserable start. I think that win against India were just right at the end when they were 6 down and 7 down. They were able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. I think that was a turning point, and they just didn't look back. And on the other hand, Australia, despite playing the reserve players for the last 2 to 3 games when they had already qualified for the semifinals, you do feel that two teams that deserve to be in the final will be in the final. And India, I think their journey is going to end today in a World Cup that was scheduled at their own home. They would have wanted to do better, but when you come up against a force like Australia, I think you just need to resort to the fact that they're better on the day and they
But
will
Ali
end up in
Abbas,
the
the
final.
fact still, but Ali Abbas, it looks like that the stars are aligning now. Remember, we had a World Test Championship final between Australia and South Africa men's team. South Africa did the impossible and unbelievable, and they beat Australia. Do you believe this might just be, a new story or a new fate written in the stars that if it is an Australia-South Africa final, we might see something unbelievable again?
Yeah, and the only thing that I would disagree with your very well put statement, Ahmed, is I don't think it'll be unbelievable because South Africa, they're a pretty good team. They do have the X factor like Australia does. And listen, they recently made it to the final of the T20 World Cup as well. They lost to New Zealand, which same thing would happen to the men's team as well, right? They lost the T20 World Cup final to India. So South Africa have been building up towards what would be a very well-deserved World Cup final win. So yeah, I think the stars are going to align. The law of averages might help out the South African team, and we'll see a new winner, which would be great for the women's game and which would be great for cricket overall.
Well, certainly, Ali, I'm going to come back to you, and we're, of course, going to discuss your favorite team, Liverpool. I'm not going to let this moment go. But now joining us to discuss the Women's World Cup further and analyze it is senior cricket commentator, one of the sane voices when it comes to cricket in this country, and also our expert for today, Miss Leena Moin Aziz. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the scoreboard. How are you, Leena?
Walaikum salam, Ahmad and Ali, and I'm well. How are you guys?
We're very well. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, before we discuss Australia-India, because there's a huge story in that game as well of Phoebe Litchfield, I want you to first analyze South Africa's remarkable victory. The way Laura Wolfart has stepped up as a skipper, and, her and Madison Cap have once again proven to the world why experience is so necessary.
Absolutely, I'll have to agree with you. Both the stalwarts you talked about, Cap and Woolward, are such fabulous players. I mean, the time in this World Cup when they were dismissed from 60 odd runs against England, and then to come back and defeat the same opposition in such a big blockbuster of a match, which is the semi-final. It just goes on to show what resilience can do in sports. What if you have a bad day in sports and you're ready to forget it and look forward and improve upon things and believe in your process, in your hard work and what you've done over the years, in your capability, your ability as a player, what our teams can do. So exactly that is what South Africa were able to do and show the world that, if you have a bad day, doesn't matter. You just move on and just go on to show the world that you can do much better. And like Ali was just saying that, they are a team which is coming up. I got the honor of commentating upon them a couple of times when they were touring Pakistan, and I firsthand saw what a good team they were and what good players. Not just Cap and Laura Woolward, other players around them, such useful players and ready to play for their country. Emma, the biggest thing is that you need to understand as a player what your goals are. And if you're playing for your country, if you want your country to do well, you will always do well, not for yourself, but also for your country and your team. But if your goals are selfish, then you'll only get 50s and do nothing for your team or country. That's another issue, but they've done really well. And so have Australia. Australia doing really well today. They've started off so beautifully, batted well. But then India have been able to make a comeback. And this is a wicket, mind you, this is a wicket where 300 runs could be chased off. And they're right now 245 for 5. So this is a very delicate moment in today's semi-finals.
But it's remarkable, Leena, where at one point we're talking about the experience of Laura Wolfart and Madison Cap. But on the other hand, we had a century scored by Phoebe Litchfield, who's just 22 years old. I was given a lot of insight into her career by former captain Sana Mir today, who had actually played against her in the year 2020 when she was just 17 years old in a club match in Australia. And she said that at the age of 17, Australia had identified that she's going to be the next big thing. She was batting consistently on one particular number. There was a documentary being made on her. Cameras were following her everywhere. And she said that I got her out in the first game, but I don't know what she did. She studied me. She watched my videos. In the next 2 games, it was impossible for me to get her out.
Look, Australia are a world-class team. Not that are they only a world-class team, but they're a world-class system. They have been for a very long time. I mean, little wonder that if they won 7 World Cups, Women World Cup, and many, I think 5 World Cups, Men's World Cup also, because they've got everything in place. Back in 2014, the Australian government had invited me just before the World Cup to just look at their system and visit the cricket grounds just before the World Cup, meet the curators and all that. It was a wonderful trip. And then I got to visit their university. You were just talking about how they work in scientific ways. I went to visit this university called Bond University, which was Forensic University for Sports Sciences. And, there, I mean, the facilities I saw, I mean, they're just wonderful. And that is how, I mean, like you were just saying that, this young player, she was followed and guided and earmarked at an early age. I mean, imagine how many players would have benefited from such a university and, how their system works. So any country who's developing a system and is ready to sort of slow down even when things are not going that well, that country is going to succeed. But the main thing is that you got to have a process, you got to have a system in place, you have to have the best people running it. I mean, you can't just pick up people from here and there and ask them to run a cricket or a hockey or a squash thing. People have to be expert. These people have to be experts who run these facilities and run the cricket boards or the hockey boards or the squash organizations. So first of all, we need to identify which are the people which can take our sports to its pinnacle. And we have the ability in our players. We all know that. We've at one time we had the Cricket World Cup, the Hockey World Cup, the Snooker World Cup, and the Squash World Championship in our domain, in our country. So we have the ability in the players. I think the fault is probably how we are running affairs.
Well, certainly, but I must ask you something very particular. It's not something of a surprise, but maybe it's just remarkable coincidence. Ever since Graeme Smith was appointed as the skipper for South Africa at a very young age, we're turning back the pages of time, South Africa immediately became a very, very successful side overall. Ever since he's become head of Cricket South Africa, we've seen remarkable change in their structures as well. They won the World Test Championship final, beat Australia. This time they've made history for reaching the Women's ODI World Cup final for the very first time. It just looks like there's a lot of success to it.
Treat your champions right. I mean, things are going to happen for you. Graeme Smith is a champion player. South Africa were able to have him as a captain for a long time. I think about a decade. And in that decade, look, he wasn't only winning. There are a lot of matches he was not winning. There were a lot of matches where he was personally failing as a batsman, but they stuck with him. So you got to identify players and then stick with them. And that is what they did with Graeme Smith as a captain. And that is what they're doing with him when he's director cricket in South Africa. That's why things are improving. When the power is in the right hands, as far as cricket or sports is concerned, things are going to happen for you. Good things are going to happen for you, and you are going to make progress. But then you got to identify which is the right person to run your cricket affairs, your hockey affairs, your squash affairs. And right now in Pakistan, we haven't been able to do that. In Australia, they have the right people. In South Africa, now they have the right people. So they're, doing well. Even the chokers tag is now off them because they were able to win the Test Championship. They're the
Absolutely,
World
but I
Test
think when we
Championship.
consider that the T20 World Cup for men's team is just 3 months away, from chokers to jokers. That's what I feel for us. Because right now we're looking towards the second T20 tomorrow. I am very skeptical about our performance. I've been told that Lahore might favor us more as far as conditions are concerned. But I have to, ask you this. What are you hoping for tomorrow, even if there are certain changes as well? But once again, be it the captaincy, be it the players, just 3 months before the World Cup, and we are not sure of what's happening.
Honestly, Ahmed, I'm not hoping for anything. As far as Pakistan cricket goes, too many times we falter. And back home, sitting at home, knowing a little bit about the sport, being connected to it, we know what's going wrong. I mean, you see, I've identified this before, and I'm going to say it again, that the reason we've been failing time again is because of our batters. Our batters just don't know, don't have the skill set. Players who are doing well in the world, nations who are doing well in the world right now, their batters tend to play more down the ground in the V. Our players are so obsessed by the leg side that any ball which is even five on the sixth stump outside the off stump, they would want to whip it through the leg side. And you saw how Saim Ayub, such a talented player, he wasn't even looking at the ball the other day. When he's missing out on those crucial deliveries, the dot balls, the percentage of the dot balls, it's so much because we don't play down the ground, we don't take those singles, and things were improving a few years ago. But then once again, they gone down the drain. Also, we go back on our decisions every now and then. I mean, if we've decided that we want to go through with this process where we want to be aggressive, we want the batters to show intent, we want the team to show intent, then they give them some time. Also, as media people, we shouldn't create this hullabaloo if there are few failures. But also, I mean, I want to I mean, the other day someone was saying to me, why are you saying that Mike Hesson should talk to the batters and tell them to use their brains and play in the V and run better and all that? Because that person was saying to me that the coach hasn't got anything to do with it. But
Leena,
let me tell you, Ahmed, that the coach has everything to do with it.
I'll just conclude this by saying that maybe, I'm sure you're going to agree with me, maybe our tagline at PCB should be expect the unexpected, because I think that's the way things are going right now.
Well, that's the way we always were, but it's gone way too far. It's gone crossed the bridge too much. I mean, I mean, once in a while that kind of tagline is really good, but then you can't keep saying that that we turn up 1 minute down and 1 minute up, as Nasir Hussain said. We can't keep playing like that, because otherwise we'll keep going down as a team, and that's not. I mean, cricket, you know how big it is with the normal people in Pakistan, the ordinary people. It's their heartbeat, and you can't surrender a country's heartbeat like this.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Leena, Moin, Aziz, for joining us on the scoreboard. Of course, Ali Abbas is still with us. We're now going to take your focus to football and the Carabao Cup, because English side Liverpool has now lost 6 out of their 7 games. Fans are absolutely distraught. One of them is Ali Abbas. Yes, Ali Abbas, what went wrong in a night where Crystal Palace managed to beat them 3-0?
I think when you prepared the squad for the game against Crystal Palace, everything went right. Listen, you've lost 5 out of your last 6 games. The only game that you won was against Frankfurt, a team that wasn't really looking to tackle you physically, and they were trying to compete with you on the ball. And obviously, Liverpool are going to win on the ball because they have great players. But if you try to play a low block and you play in a bit of long balls, or you play a bit of throw-ins, they're going to struggle, right? And what you do is you bring on these bunch of youngsters saying they need a chance. I mean, the team is so low on confidence. We had to beat Crystal Palace yesterday because winning breeds more winning. So I think when the squad was announced and all of the senior players were left out, it felt like maybe we were on an unbeaten streak in the league and we were willing to rest our players. Well, the situation is completely different. Let's take Liverpool out of this, Ahmed. Crystal Palace lose 6 out of 7. It's a crisis for them. Brentford lose 6 out of 7. It's a crisis for them. Ipswich in the championship lose 6 out of 7. It's a crisis for them. I have no idea why Liverpool thought that it'll be okay to rest players versus Crystal Palace and then just get beaten all over the park like they did last night. So yeah, I'm just shocked by what Arne Slot did last night.
But Ali Abbas, if the top management is saying that our players were physically and mentally exhausted, that is no excuse.
That is no excuse when you have spent the most amount of money in the summer, when you have the second highest net spend in the summer. That is no excuse. Okay, fine. Your players are exhausted. Manage them better. Play some in the first half, play some in the second half, find a better balance. If you're unable to do that, then I think Liverpool are in a far bigger crisis than maybe you and I are going to acknowledge over here, because it means that Arne Slot is maybe even close to getting sacked if he's not able to figure out a balance for a game against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. If he does not know how to avoid a 3-0 loss to Palace in the Carabao Cup by playing a blend of senior players and the junior players coming through the academy, then I think the situation is a lot worse. And I would be upset. You might not be upset because obviously you've beaten us at Anfield. But for someone who has a bit of loyalty towards Liverpool, he would be a little upset.
Look, I was always a fan of Stephen Gerrard, be it the other side or not, but I will always say that any side that he's played for goes down like this is certainly disappointing. But thank you very much, Ali Abbas, for joining us on the scoreboard. The fact still remains that Liverpool are under a lot of scrutiny at the moment, and I think you just can't make this excuse. As Ali also said, that when you've got the second highest spending as far as teams are concerned, and your lineup is concerned, and your squad strength is concerned, then maybe you can manage them better as well. But of course, we're going to give you once again an update of the Women's World Cup, where Australia seem to be in a very, very commanding position at the moment. They're now 272 for 6. The 42nd over is now in place. If they hang on to the wickets, if they don't get all out, they still have about 8 overs, including this one. After this, of course, 7 overs. So looks like they're going to be aiming for that 350, which would be pretty much on. But the fact still remains that they've got to keep wickets in hand going into this as well. Ash Gardner is right now on the crease with 15. Followed by Kim Garth. India have managed to do well. They've picked up another couple of wickets, so they haven't let someone settle down as well as far as their scoreboard is concerned. If you talk about Indian bowlers, of course, Sri Charani has taken 2 wickets and 1 each by Amanjot Kaur, Radha Yadav, and going up to Kranti Gaur, who's taken that 1 wicket as well of Elise Perry as well. So I think that really gives them something to talk about, because the fact is that if Australia managed to score 350 runs, or even close to that, it's going to be very difficult to chase it down, because as far as we've seen the pitch, it's behaving a bit differently. And the fact is that it's keeping a bit low. So it won't be easy chasing it down on a track which is keeping a bit low as well. So I think that is something that they have to look out for as well. But now we take you to the Paris Masters of the last 16 as well, and give you all the updates from tennis, because the fact remains that Valentin Vacherot, ranking outside the top 150, has been able to produce something clinical. Earlier this month, he was out of this top 150. He continued his dream run by beating his own cousin, Arthur Rinderknech, following this triumph in Shanghai. Vacherot has now broken into the ATP top 40, becoming the lowest ranked player ever in history to do so within a single season. His rapid rise has become one of the standout stories of the 2025 tennis circuit. But it was clinical, and I think it really matters that, how he performed. If you're ranked outside 150 before the start of the tournament, and you're moving on and you end up in the top 40, then that certainly means that you're, into the game as well. But he was absolutely clinical. If you talk about his reaching the last 16 now, hailing from Monaco, Valentin Vacherot, of course, has gotten this game with a scoreline of 7-6 and 6-3 as well. The first set, of course, going towards a tie break, but his rapid rise is something that we must be talking about as well. His performance, of course, mirrors the former breakout performers as well of stars like Aslan Krastev in 2021 and also Carlos Alcaraz in 2022. Experts are now calling him the new face of Monaco tennis. Now, that is a big title and big shoes to fill in, but the fact still remains that there have been players' reactions as well. He, of course, went on in his post-match interview, and he said that it feels unreal. He also said, I used to watch this tournament as a kid, dreaming to be here. Beating my cousin in front of my family was emotional, but this is my moment to keep believing. I think sibling or cousin rivalry is something that will always stand out in sports, and that's why it gives you that extra adrenaline rush. Meanwhile, his cousin Rinderknech responded very graciously. He said that he deserves this victory. He's been working hard, and right now he's playing top 20 level tennis. So I think that is big comments for him as well. He said that, I'm looking to improve my game, and maybe I can beat my cousin in the future. But elsewhere, if you talk about the tournament outlook now, world number 1 Alcaraz has already been eliminated in a shocking upset by Cameron Norrie. Of course, Novak Djokovic had withdrew earlier due to fatigue, and top contenders Jannik Sinner, Alexander Zverev and Daniil Medvedev remain still in the hunt. So, of course, Vacherot's fearless play will have to match some of the greats in tennis who still stay there. Now joining us on the scoreboard to discuss cricket further is cricket writer and expert Amal Nadeem. Amal, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show. First of all, let's just talk about the current game. Australia seem to be in a very commanding position against India in the second semi-final of the Women's World Cup.
Walaikum Assalam, Ahmed. Surely because Australia had always had the upper edge in this game, and the way India started, they got the wicket of their captain, and she was the biggest threat for them. But they could not keep that momentum going so far. Right now, even though that Australia are 6 down, but they are very likely to cross 300 plus total in this match. And the way I would say that Ellis Perry played that innings, and then the century by Phoebe, I think it was a great comeback by Australia after losing that first wicket, because their captain is also their backbone. But right now, I think India might struggle because India is not having Pratika Rawal in their squad. So even though that India has already scored 300 plus in their group matches, even against Australia, but both of the time, one person who stood up and played a good innings was this person. So that would cause some issues that might be a catch for India right now. But nonetheless, I would say that yes, Australia looks at a very commandable position right now.
Well, of course, we do believe Australia right now is the favourite. But what would you like to analyse about the first semi-final, where South Africa have just been very, very clinical against a very strong English side? Yes, Amal, can you hear me? Well, I think we're having trouble getting through to Amal Nadeem, but I think she's right. If you talk about Phoebe Litchfield and the innings she's played, it's just been very clinical. Amal, how would you analyse the South African game?
Ahmed, it was a commendable comeback by South Africa, I would say, because if you talk about stats, England did have an upper hand on the match because they have the head-to-head matches that they had played. England had won more of them, and the way South Africa had lost their group stage match to England, they must have been weaker in those potential areas. But I would say that they did not let it bother them in any way. They smashed them by the victory of 125. And the difference, I would say, was amongst the opening partnership between both the teams, because South Africa's opening partnership of 116, I think that was the major key role of putting up that total of 300 plus on the board. And England already struggled in that, even though that in middle order we did see 250s, but the way their opening collapsed, I would say that was a major problem. And comparatively, the better side was South Africa in that regard as well. But South Africa truly deserved to be the first finalist. The way they played both bat and ball, I think a commendable performance overall.
Well, certainly, Amal, if it is a final between Australia and South Africa, which is more likely to happen, who are you going with then?
Ahmed, like my favorite team would be South Africa because they have qualified for the first time, and I think that after the way they collapsed against India in the Men's Cup final, I think that they came back very positively in the World Test Championship. So you can expect anything from South Africa cricket right now, and I think that it's time that we do see someone else winning the match as well. So I cannot predict who is going to win the match, but my favorite is going to be South Africa.
Well, certainly. Thank you very much, Amal, for joining us on the scoreboard. Now, Amal has picked her favourite side, but of course, from a Women's World Cup, we now come to men's cricket. Pakistan is all set to face South Africa in the second T20 International tomorrow at Lahore. What's going to happen is certainly of a lot of interest, because if Pakistan don't win this, the series is done and dusted. We're going to join you tomorrow from me and the entire team of the scoreboard. It's goodbye for now.